Good afternoon, everybody. It's Una Fierce, the Eclectic Witch. I'm here to bring you a collective message. All right, Spirit, I'm all yours. Where are we going here? All right, we're going to start here with the Lemuria cards. Beyond Lemuria, Oracle cards. All right, Spirit. Hope everybody is doing wonderful today. It is glorious where I am. All right, Spirit. Show us what you got. Number 1 is surrender. Full spectrum. Heart chakra. She of the Lotus. So these are cards that are newer to me. So I decided to get my book out. So I'm going to start by reading their definitions in the book. Okay, so surrender is the first one we're going to look at. It says trust, letting go of control, free flow, receptivity, yin energy, inner knowing, intuition, synchronistic opportunities, getting out of your own way, the path of least resistance, and allowing who you naturally are to flourish. Surrendering can be one of the hardest things to do. Trusting that we can achieve more by loosening our control can take great courage. Sometimes the most constructive way to move forward is to stop forcing things into being. Rather than allowing, inviting, and drawing a project into being, the energy here is of frustration, as if you are pushing something heavy up a mountain. At these times, gravity or flow don't seem to be on your side. Use this awareness as a guide when you start to detour from your path. When control is released, so too is resistance. One of the biggest skills we can learn is to get out of our own way. When we are in a receptive place, we are open to a world of opportunities, and the great mysteries can unveil themselves. The mind loves to control the outcome, but this only creates limitations. It can feel scary, but when we allow ourselves to be caught by the universe, myriad possibilities open to us. This painting is called A Star is Born, and its message is about becoming the star you came here to be. You can reach your peak life experience through surrendering and allowing who and what you truly are to flourish. Today, be more by doing and trying less. This advice goes against the grain of our striving culture that encourages us to force from outside ourselves and to busy ourselves out of the natural state of all-knowing bliss. Surrender is a key element in the creative process. When I let go and flow, allowing intuition over direction, I find I create far more powerful works. That is not to say our lives should be left to the slipstream. This message is about freeing ourselves from the paradigm of control and force. Yes, we can achieve with this mode, but we also lose opportunities for magic. The synchronistic meeting, following our intuition, and being in the right place at the right time can outweigh months of careful planning. The divinatory meaning of this card is loosen your hold on the reins and know the universe will catch you. Trust even though things are not as you imagined. Stay poised and align with your purpose. At the last minute, the situation will reveal its magic. Okay, so for me today, I woke up and spent the first few hours meditating and trying to get myself into alignment in my thoughts. I woke up with some feelings of, I left a job yesterday and I was thinking, am I crazy? What am I doing? I left it because I want to do this, okay? And I also am a Reiki practitioner. I've been trying to, and a life coach, I've been trying to get a home business off the ground for a few years, and Just recently, Spirit has been telling me move in the direction of, what I've been telling you. So, yesterday I decided to just let that go. And, like I said, today I woke up feeling a little bit like, wow, what did I do? But all morning, I spent in meditation and just, doing some yoga, trying to get my thoughts clear, trying to just let go of that thought, because I know that, this is what God wants me to do. And I just recognize that these are just thoughts, So I'm thankful to see this message personally, that God is letting me know that you're not crazy. This is, you just need to, sometimes you do need to let go and just spend some time with Spirit and let things take their natural course. It's not always going to be about work. It's not always going to be about chasing things. It's not, we manifest our best when we are allowing Spirit to guide us in the way that we're supposed to be going. And that most of it is about aligning with the things that we want, more so than doing the physical work. So I'm thankful to see that this morning. Thank you, Spirit. All right, let's move on to the next card, Full Spectrum. I'll show you again. Aren't these cards the coolest? She looks like a dragonfly. Fully aligned, bright chakras, and her Merkaba under there. Things in her past. And crown wide open. Full Spectrum says, creating heaven on earth by honoring the perfection of nature's cycles, going beyond the judgment of good and bad, the merging of duality, raw nature, earth wisdom, connecting to ancestors, shadows as the fertile soil for exponential growth. The way forward is in the whisperings of the land, honoring the full spectrum of life. What does heaven on earth look like to you? Do you imagine lush green nature, ancient forests, pristine beaches, crystalline water systems, and all the planet's residents in full health, living with harmony in each other, or living in harmony with each other? And yet, nature in its purest, rawest form is a balance of life and death, growth and decomposition, the eaters and the eaten. In one way or another, this is the natural flux of life. We already live in Eden, but our efforts to own and segregate us further away from this paradigm. Power trips, the need for imagined security, fear or avoidance of the shadow, keep us out of our freedom. The need to preserve and hold on tightly only stunts our growth and leaves us drowning in a sea of plastic. The real disease on earth, the barrier to Eden, is in our minds. Life happens, but it is our perception of good and bad and our black and white judgments that prevent us from seeing the grander truth. When duality becomes one, we will find Shambhala before us. Perhaps we can find inspiration from nature and the animal kingdom. Does the tiny frog spend its days anxious over a vulnerable future? What happens when we realize fertile compost greets us when we allow ourselves to transmute our pain? When we honor all that came before, our roots are nourished and we grow with more vitality, vibrancy, and life force. We can anchor more light for the collective and in turn seed new growth. What happens when we realize the keys to our future are in the wisdom of the earth and the dreamings of the indigenous? That the answers are in the geometry of the macro and microcosm, the nurturing embrace of oneness in Mama Nature's arms. What happens when we find peace within the full spectrum of life? Even the notion of separation, this disease, can be symbolized as no more than a blackened leaf on a healthy tree. The ebb and flow of our evolution and devolution is a temporary blip in the universe. The message is to be what we can, to ground heaven on earth, but not out of fear. We often try to avoid or run from negative situations, but when fear steers our decisions and actions, far more devastation can result. When we choose to let our hearts lead us away from our stories and outdated patterns, Our challenges become the fertile compost that feeds our ascending tendrils as they reach to the heavens and ground its light back on earth. Divinatory meaning. Step out of the black and white mentality of judgment. Go beyond the concepts of good and bad. This card invites you to honor the full spectrum of life and find a new way of perceiving your situation. When we judge something, we create a story around it. These stories often create limitation. Subconsciously, we gather so many of these stories over a lifetime. To heal our dis-ease and crystallize the new way, we need to create a space of no story where miraculous healing can happen. This space empowers us to be all we are and allows us to know our truth. Embrace the full spectrum of creation in all her colors and the raw, muddy, earthbound shadow parts of a situation to determine whether they are actually bad or if stories you have held onto are limiting your perspective. Okay. So there are going to be positive and negative, light and dark sides to all of us and sides to the things that we experience in our lives. Without the contrast of the good and the bad, or without the contrast of the good, sometimes the bad things happen, but without those happening, we can't fully appreciate the good things that Spirit is showing us. So it is necessary to have the duality in our lives, but trying to just recognize it, acknowledge it, accept it, and not allowing it to pull us down, but just allowing it to be what it is, and maybe even thanking God for it, because when we experience those negative things, we learn from it and we gather our lessons, and that's what helps us to ascend as humans, to become more of our higher selves, and those lessons are what we need to grow. So I feel like we're being told to embrace the good and the bad and just know that it's all there for our highest good. Let's move on to heart chakra. Got a dragonfly on there. Some pretty crystals. Unfurling back to love. Love for oneself and others, relationships, compassion, forgiveness, empathy, connection, receptivity, acceptance, and generosity. This chakra card represents love in its many forms. It reminds you that everything in life can unfold into love or fear. When unfurled back enough, the foundation of all you seek lies in the universal desire and right to feel love and be loved. Love heals. God is love. This is the force that will change the world. It says, restore. Count everything in your life that you are grateful for. Think of all those you love and how wonderful that feeling radiates from your heart. Consider those that you can forgive and extend that feeling out to them. Consider those you can forgive and extend that feeling out to them. Remember, we all just want to be loved and accepted, but insecurities and triggers can cause behaviors that move us away from this place. Have compassion. Know that others may be in their suffering. Expand your awareness and heart-centered radiance for all beings on the planet. Encapsulate Earth in loving compassion. Bask in the blissful feeling of the planet and all of its perfect balance, loving you back. Themes are relationships and relating, connection to yourself and others, the language of love. Healing position is over the heart, and color wash soft emerald green. So maybe we have some people in our lives who we're not too sure that we want around us, possibly. But Spirit is reminding us, maybe we don't like their energy, maybe they've done some things to us, maybe there have just been some experiences with these people. Maybe you feel like they're a karmic partner, or just for whatever reason they are not who you love to be around. I feel like Spirit's asking us to recognize them as this duality and just allow them to be who they are. Hold space for them and just try to understand that they are having their own experience and that they are taking from that whatever they are meant to receive. And that you also can just take your experience with them for whatever lessons that you're supposed to receive from it. Trying to remember, but by the grace of God go I. Remember that, maybe you feel like you're past all the lessons that they're learning and stuff, and that, it's just not a good energy for you to be around. But just try to be mindful that we all, we're all having our own experience, and maybe we've already had those lessons, and maybe it's hard for us to find patience with that in them. But I try to remember that, we've all been there, and we're all learning at our own pace, and try to just see them for who they are, which is having the perfect experience for them. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and they're learning exactly the way that they're supposed to be learning, and that, God doesn't get impatient with us when we make mistakes, or what we think might make mistakes or might not make God happy, but God he doesn't interfere. He doesn't tell us that we're wrong. He just lets us have our experience, right? So I feel like Spirit's saying, allow others to be who they are, and just love them for who they are, like God loves us. All right, this one is She of the Lotus. This is an interesting card. Some green witch energy. 43. Shadow work, addressing dissonance, seeing downfalls as the flip side of superpowers, loving yourself back to wholeness, the beautiful lotus that grows from murky waters, disempowering triggers, bringing light into your dark corners. Originally, the title for this oracle deck was going to be The Language of Light. It was not actualized in that incarnation, as other layers of meaning needed to be honored. The fuller spectrum I was guided to bring through also included the shadow. In hindsight, choosing to deepen the message of balance in the Lemurians, where bringing forth through this work meant I had to experience my shadow. My shadow encounters brought light into nooks that I didn't know I had. If there was a way to fast track your growth, it is by being real with the shadowy and unloved parts of ourselves. There was a time when the concepts of shadow work and self-love seemed relevant, but I was vague as to what they really meant. I knew the next part of my journey was exploring them, but how that would happen was quite mystifying. The shadow and self-love are big topics to unpack, and unraveling them took me on quite an adventure. Unfortunately, I thought shadow work was about digging up as many issues as possible, and that being present with them meant wallowing in them. Without tools for expanded awareness, I found myself drowning deeper in the upset of it all and creating more of it in the process. My journey for clarity took me to Cambodia, where I met and mastered the art of perspective and indirectly finding growth points in a way that spoke to my being rather than my mind. That sparked a 3-month journey into the farthest reaches of myself. I realized I had a lot of unlearning and self-acceptance to do. The years of trying to be the best that I could to be the years of trying to be the best that I could be created constructs in my self-identity. My striving wasn't as healthy as I thought. By discarding traits that seemed ugly or hindering, I was also rejecting sides of myself that were quite wonderful. There were two sides to every coin, they were two sides of the coin, and equally they were part of my true nature. When we discard any part of ourselves, we are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Often our greatest strengths are our greatest weaknesses, and vice versa. When we reject or deny parts of ourselves, we end up feeling hollow, lost, and detached. When we take them out of the trash and work with them through compassion, gentleness, honesty, and non-judgment, we can shine a light on these shadows and see them for what they are. Incredibly, my perceived weaknesses vanished as I peeled the layers further and further back to explore the past experiences that accompanied them. Accepting the shadows enough to bring them into the daylight and was usually all it took for them to dissipate. Their power dissolved, and I could see them for what they were, or rather were not. Paradoxically, self-love is a catalyst for transformation. Alchemizing painful triggers is an opportunity for awareness that helps us reclaim more of ourselves. As the dense spaces begin to evaporate, we can be filled with more light, more love, and we create an upward healing spiral. I have come to learn that shadow work and self-love are practices to implement on a day-to-day basis. When we merge this awareness with moment-to-moment consciousness, densities don't even get a chance to form. We can then live and love even bigger. And this is true freedom, self-empowerment, and where the authentic love and light can radiate. A true light bringer shines light in all the corners so shadows can be acknowledged and released. The divinatory meaning is take a look at any unconscious patterns that may be running you. Are there elements of yourself you need to take out of the trash, dust off, and reabsorb? Shadows can be painful or tender to the touch. Sensitivity in an area can be a trigger that shows us where we might want to spring clean some of our darker, forgotten, ignored, or hidden corners. Accepting our shadows is the first stage in restoring ourselves to wholeness and self-love. Peel back the layers where there is shame, guilt, or fear, and bring them into the daylight. Under a loving and compassionate light, they will resolve and re-assimilate so you can engage with your superpowers. All right, so not only is Spirit asking us to practice forgiveness and for others, Spirit's asking us to look at ourselves and examine the places that we have been less than perfect. Maybe we haven't been so loving. Maybe we haven't been as quick to learn our lessons. But that God is letting us know that, it's okay, that we first of all, we are forgiven for the things that we do. Okay, it's none of it is life altering, and we're not damned by our mistakes. We're human beings here having a human experience, and the way that we accept and use information in our matrix is exactly perfect. But the times that we have been more of the dark than the light, Spirit's asking us to just, take a look at that and acknowledge it for what it is and let ourselves move past it. Maybe we have guilt and shame and these different emotions that are keeping us from moving forward in our lives. The Spirit's asking us to take a look at those things and just acknowledge that, that we're all having this journey, and that that it's just part of it, that it's nothing to be ashamed of or mad at ourselves for or angry about, or and that's not just us, but with all the people in our lives as well, that we're all just here doing our thing, and that there's nothing wrong with any of it, and that by realizing that and acknowledging it, that can help us to grow and transform into more of the light. All right, Spirit, where are we going from here? do some celestial insights. All right, let me try shuffling the other way here. I love this message. This is right on time for myself. And of course, if you've been watching collective messages for a while, you've probably realized that the energies, the planets and the stars and the different things going on in the universe all bring us the same messages. And it's just the way that we interpret them. So it didn't surprise me at all that this is coming today. And I imagine it's probably on your mind as well. All right, I think I'm going to put these both under surrender. So the first one is barrier maze. Confusion may feel overwhelming, but remember that every maze has an exit. You might be struggling with difficult problems, but shifting your perspective could reveal the solution. The other one is honor. Respect for yourself and others is key to your growth. Have you felt a lack of respect in some areas of your life? By setting clear boundaries and honoring yourself, the world will follow suit. These under surrender, I feel like Spirit's saying you don't really have to understand, everything that's happening in your existence. But just try to, if you are having trouble with people, maybe it's time to set some boundaries with them. Let them know, I love you, but when you do this thing, it, makes whatever happened to me, and, I would just appreciate it if you would keep that energy over there, or whatever your boundaries are. Okay, whatever things you need to set boundaries with people, that it's okay to do that. We always should first honor our own paths, because it's the only thing we can control. Okay. we can't control what other people do, but we can control what's, in our surroundings and, what we choose to engage with. So, even if you can't get them to stop doing this, you can shut your text off for a while, or turn on the do not disturb, or whatever it takes that, to get you out of that energy that you're not thriving in. That it's okay to honor yourself and set boundaries with people in your life. Maybe you're just in a place right now where you just need seclusion and time with you in spirit. And that's okay too. It's okay to let people know that that's what you need. Okay. That's all I'm getting on that one. Full spectrum. Okay, Spirit, what do we got for full spectrum, please? One card on the table for full spectrum, please, Spirit. There it is. Illusion. What you see may not always be the full picture. Are you caught up in false image or misunderstanding? Look beyond the surface. The real truth will reveal itself. So I feel like that whatever the situation is that you're examining in your life, there's some things that you don't see. There's some duality going on that you aren't fully getting. Maybe you've had a disagreement with someone and you've decided to to just stop talking or stay away from them, or maybe stop being friends or something like that. But maybe what you don't understand is maybe they're going through some death and rebirth. Maybe just give them some space for now. Like you're taking space. Maybe just by allowing them some space, maybe they can make some sense out of their situation. Maybe they need time. And maybe once they get some perspective on their own situation, then maybe you guys can have an honest conversation about what it is that you need to talk about. By honoring that, like you do yourself, your own boundaries, by honoring another's experience and understanding that they also are trying to learn from their mistakes and things like that, and realizing that we're, again, all just humans here having our human experience. Nobody's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow. Maybe we need to let go of feeling like they're doing something wrong and just realize that they're just learning their own lessons, and we need to allow them space to do that and heal and grow, as well as we have been allowed to do for ourselves and God has done for us. Spirit, let me get one for heart chakra. All right, we got 2 for heart chakra. All right, the first one is gratitude. Gratitude brings more joy and abundance. Have you been overlooking the good in your life? Take a moment to appreciate what you have. This mindset will attract even more positivity. All right. And the other one is boundary. Setting healthy boundaries is crucial for your well-being. Do you feel overwhelmed by others? Clearly define your limits to protect your emotional and mental space. All right, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with taking time apart from people who you're having misunderstandings with. Sometimes it's necessary. It doesn't mean that we love them any less, but it just means that, we're clashing right now and we both need space to do our work. So instead of focusing on what they're doing, I feel like Spirit's asking us to focus on our own heart chakra and what kind of things are we doing to clear our own heart energy? Are you finding things to be in love with? Are you spending mindful time with Spirit and showing appreciation for the good things that are in your life? Spirit's asking you to take a moment and just notice all the good things that are going on, all the beauty that's there for you to enjoy, all the abundance in your life, whether it be material or just your surroundings, but practicing gratitude and thanking Spirit is definitely going to bring more of the positive things, and help you to bring yourself back to a loving vibration. And if you need to, don't be afraid to set these boundaries with people. Let them know that you need time and space and that you need to, do some work on your own self and that you just need them to back off for a little bit. And that's okay. Sometimes it's necessary, and it's for your own self, for your own heart. All right, Spirit. Give me one for She of the Lotus, please. One card for She of the Lotus, Spirit. Inspiration. Inspiration is sparking within you, lighting the way forward. Have you felt stuck lately? Reconnect with what excites you. It will reignite your creativity and your motivation. I feel like Spirit's encouraging us to, make sure that we are looking at the parts of ourselves that need healing so that we can connect to our higher selves. So that we can start to manifest the things that Spirit wants for us, that we want for ourselves, that we're blocking because we have these belief systems and things in our hearts and minds from people in our past who, maybe we have belief systems from our childhoods about certain, social class or whatever. Belief systems are created when you just in your day-to-day living. Sometimes it's by people in your life, your adults, your teachers, your mentors, your parents, your grandparents, whatever, your brothers and sisters tell you things when you're little. Up to the time that you're 7, you take everything as facts. So those belief systems stick with us, and unless we do something to rewrite those things in our subconscious mind, it's going to follow us all through our lives. So obviously it's important to do that inner work, and maybe it's, healing is spiral. It never stops. You are constantly reminding yourself that that there's work to do, and that there are maybe, you catch yourself thinking a certain thought and you realize that's not my thought. That's not how I feel about that. That's, so don't be afraid to dive into that and keep on that. Maybe you have felt stuck lately, and maybe that's because these belief systems are, stuck in your subconscious mind that you need to release so that you can move on to the things that inspire you and excite you and motivate you to create a life that you're more suited for. I feel like we're all being called to let go of these ways of living that we've all been, conditioned to believe is what's for us, that we are here to work, and make money so we can spend it, and work some more to keep getting more money and more money so that we have more to spend. And I feel like Spirit's saying this is not what you're meant for. You're meant to enjoy your life and spend time in mindfulness and just be present with the things that are in your life, the people who you love and your animals, whether in nature or at home, your pets, whatever it is that excites you and motivates you. That's the kind of work that you want to be doing. You don't just go to a job to earn money. If it's something that you hate, let it go. Think about why you're doing that. Why am I doing that? It's something that I hate. Why am I going to a place that I hate every single day, where it's negative and everybody's crappy to each other, and it's a lot of I'm the boss, throwing their weight around, whatever. Why am I putting up with that? Is that what I want to continue to do? Is that, is it helping me to raise my vibrations, or is it pulling me down into a place where I just can't, where I'm drowning? Spirit's saying, reconnect with what you love, what excites you. Let go of that belief that that's what you have to do in order to survive this life, because this life is not meant about survival. We're not here to survive. We're here to live. We're here to experience and enjoy. And it's the whole point of us being here, is to experience the things that God created that are there for us to experience our senses, just to stay. When you're being mindful, you're smelling, you're touching, you're tasting, you're hearing, you're That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, not to punch a time clock and go in and, let's make car parts or whatever it is that you do. Going room to room, doing one job after another, and totally missing everything that life is here for, missing everything that we're here for. And Spirit's letting us know that is not why you're here. That is not what you came here for. Please, let's get back to what are we here to do? Let's enjoy this journey. Let's find a way to enjoy the journey. And yes, you have to work, do some kind of work to, have. Right now we use money as currency. You got to find a way to live. But what is it that you love? What can you do that you enjoy, that can make a difference to the human race? How can you help people? How can you feel good about what you're doing? And I feel like that's the message. All right, Spirit, thank you for that. And thank you, Collective, for joining me. If you like what you saw, please give me a like and subscribe. I'll be working here to bring you more messages. Hope you guys enjoy this beautiful day. Thanks again.